Welcome to No Couch Required. Two therapists, too many feelings, not enough chill.
This is basically the podcast version of your most validating group chat. If it were run by two therapists with zero bullshit, big hearts, and a knack for turning emotional chaos into conversation.
We're unpacking healing, mental health, and all the messiness in between with humor, honesty, and maybe even a little ethically sourced tea from the therapy room. No couch
or copay
required.
Hi, I'm Kayla Judd, a licensed marriage and family therapist. I specialize in complex trauma and PTSD, and I primarily work with couples navigating relationship conflict and the lasting impacts of childhood trauma using emotionally focused therapy and somatic EMDR.
And I'm Ashley Wright, a licensed clinical social worker. I also specialize in complex trauma and PTSD, and I work with individuals healing from childhood, relational, and sexual trauma to help them reconnect with themselves in a grounded, embodied way.
Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. Even though we're therapists, this podcast isn't therapy, and it's not a replacement for professional mental health care. Listening doesn't create a therapist-client relationship.
If you're struggling, we encourage you to reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area. And if you're in crisis in the U.S., you can dial or text 988 for immediate support.
Okay, let's get into today's episode.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Here we are. Today, we're going to talk about the stuff that your therapist wants to say, but doesn't for one reason or another.
And maybe some things that we won't still say.
Very true.
Or that came out weird. Things that maybe we would want to say, but we're not going to talk about.
We will never maybe say. We would never say to someone in session.
Those are in the therapist's vault.
Yeah. But we're opening the vault.
A little bit.
No, a little bit. No, we've got 8 different points to go over today, or 8 different things that we generally sometimes wish we could say to clients or explain, but it just doesn't always.
It's not really a part of the therapeutic process.
Yeah.
Or things that we can't really actually say or ask for. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one is to give us updates.
Yes.
We love updates.
Yeah.
Why do we love updates?
Because we get so invested in our clients' lives, especially if we worked with somebody for a really long time. We want to know how you're doing.
Yeah, I did. I actually got my first one ever. I've been working for 6 years now. And I got somebody who reached out to me purely just to update me, not even to get back in. And I was so grateful because I had worked with this person for probably 2 years.
That's a long time. Yeah. I sometimes think about how weird it is, how invested we get with our clients. We meet with them weekly. We know the ins and outs of their lives. And then sometimes they're just gone for one reason or another. They end therapy. And I have clients that I saw, 9 years ago when I first got out of grad school that I'm I wonder how they're doing.
Yeah. There was this kid when I was in my clinical program that he was my favorite client. Mm-hmm. I just adored him. I have no idea what happened to him.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I mean, because the people that you actually get and know their intimate lives and details, just as friends and family, those are people that you can connect with on Facebook or whatever, right? You can check in.
Yeah.
But as a therapist, I mean, that boy in my clinical program, I don't remember his name, right? I wouldn't even be able to go look him up.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just sort of poof.
They're gone. Yeah. And if that's confusing for anyone listening, we're not supposed to look people up. We're not supposed to reach out to them. There's the ethical, boundary that we don't intrude in our clients' lives in that way.
Intrude more than what they're offering for us to see.
Yeah.
That it's not our job to make sure that we know every little detail of their lives, but that they're giving us the details that they want to share.
Yeah. Yeah. That they have that right. So it's kind of a weird part of the job. But if you have a therapist that you really clicked with and haven't seen for a while, don't hold back on giving updates.
Shoot them a text, shoot them an email.
Yeah.
I think it is funny because there's times that I want to do that with my therapist and I do hold back a little bit. So this is everybody's permission to know that really a therapist does love that.
Yeah. Number 2, leave us a review.
This is what I want to talk about so bad.
Take us there, Kayla. Go for it.
Well, we can't ethically ask for people to give us reviews. We can't, when you go on to like any product website, right? They've got all these reviews and Google reviews and things like that. We just ethically can't because it breaks confidentiality laws.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we as therapists just cannot, and part of asking is that now we've created, we've got this power dynamic and we can't put our clients in a position to feel like they're pressured to give or do something for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think you summed that up really well.
Oh, great.
I mean, I will say this, like, leave us a review if it's positive, because I'm just kidding. No, it is a little tricky. It's like a very unique industry in that, like, if we get a negative review left about us, we can't really do anything about it. You can't respond and say, I'm so sorry you had a bad experience, right? Like, even by responding, you're kind of confirming that they were a client, which is violating HIPAA. Right. So a client can opt to leave a review and like break their own confidentiality, but therapists can't confirm or deny even if a client does kind of volunteer it.
Yeah. Because we have to have a release of information signed from them. So we're really stuck in kind of a bind when it comes to like negative reviews and things like that. Yeah. So in some cases, like I suppose, therapists don't really care too much about it, right? Because obviously when it comes to therapy, people are going to have mixed experiences.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's also something we can't do, which makes it really hard to like advertise our services and things like that. And, I don't know the ins and outs of clinics and therapists who do have client reviews on there.
Yeah.
And particularly ones that have a lot of client reviews, because it seems like maybe that's coming from an unethical standpoint.
Yeah, I wonder about that a lot. I've wondered how people do that and if there is an ethical way to go about it, because obviously having positive reviews is going to be more convincing for people to come and do therapy with you or at your practice.
Right.
But I haven't found a way that feels ethically comfortable for me yet.
You and I have talked about that before. We've kind of, at least I've tried to explore some different ways with you, but I suppose at the end of the day, this is our answer to that, right?
Yeah. I think everyone's gonna, like, ethics there's some ethics that are black and white for sure. I think there's a lot of those things that are gray areas, and every therapist will find what feels okay for them. And because I work with so much trauma and such a vulnerable population, I try to be extra cautious about not overstepping or like pressuring. Yeah. Because I try to be very aware of the power dynamic that exists. And I don't want to pressure at all for someone to leave a review if they don't want to.
Yeah. Because that's with trauma. There's a lot of people who feel like they need to do that appeasing, right? Yeah. This is something I need to do or have to do.
Yeah.
In order for things to stay okay between us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I do wonder if there's a little more leeway in terms of like at the end of treatment, if they're leaving. But again, it's just something I don't really feel comfortable asking people to do. So,
well, I think that's hard to assess because what if they come back?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Yeah. Because I always want the door open for them to come back if they need a check-in or for whatever reason treatment is ending. It's not usually the case that they're like, I'm healed, right? Like that's very rarely the case. So yeah, I do want the door open for them.
But if you do know a bomb-ass therapist, leave them a review.
Yeah, they would really appreciate it. And that being said too, in looking for a therapist, if they don't have a bunch of positive reviews, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not a good therapist.
Right.
It could just be that most people don't know that we can't ask for that. And not everyone thinks to go leave their therapist a review because not everyone wants to volunteer that they've been in therapy.
Or I think for some people, it doesn't even cross their mind. Like me personally, I'm thinking to myself, I've actually had several good therapists and I haven't reviewed any of them. Yeah. Like, I need to go do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I truthfully have never done that for any of my therapists either. Yeah. So.
We probably need to do that.
Probably a good idea. Yeah.
Well, here's number 3, do's and don'ts of canceling appointments, etc.
And why we have to charge you for them.
Right. Right. Do you want to start us off here?
Sure. Yeah, I think and I don't think any therapist loves this part of the job. Every time I have an intern or associate starting at my practice, it's always the biggest point of like friction for them in figuring out their boundaries and their scheduling. So essentially the way I explain it is that like we hold a spot for you as a client. And if you don't give us sufficient notice, everyone's cancellation policy is different. But if you don't give us sufficient notice, we can't fill that spot. And so then we just have an hour of our day that's not able to be filled or used. And so because we have that spot held for you specifically, you're responsible to pay for it, regardless if you show up or not.
One point that I feel like I've had to explain to several clients before, because I have a policy that if I have, I mean, I've said 3 cancellations in a row that you go back on my wait list. That's kind of changing right now. Now I'm not saying 3. I'm just saying if there starts to be a lot, because it kind of varies in how I feel about it. But a lot of people don't understand that if you have a standing appointment and you cancel it, we can't bring on a new client to fill that in. Depending on who I have as already clients, right, that are trying to get in for an extra appointment, or, you know, I haven't seen them in a while and they just need a couple, like I can put them in, but I can't put a new client in there, because if I don't have the space for them, I can't ethically start therapy with them. So that makes it really tricky. And if I don't have anybody who's wanting to come in on a cancellation, I'm up a creek.
Yeah. It's really difficult. And then I think that probably gets into a little bit about the way that we manage our schedule and how many clients we can schedule in a week. I mean, we're not working 40-hour weeks. And I think people look at that like we have a cushy job, but we've talked before where you're like, no, we are on for we're supposed to be on for every minute of every hour that we're sitting with clients, and it's exhausting, and nobody can do that for 40 hours a week and survive.
We're not standing by the water cooler during the day. Right. It's like I saw this reel just yesterday where it's just like, okay, what are you going to do in the time that you have before the next client? Are you going to write your note? Are you going to eat a snack? Or are you going to go to the bathroom? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
I sent that one to you.
Most of the time it's scrolling Instagram, but it's like a 2-minute brain break for me, right? Like I don't really get long amounts of time between sessions, particularly because I bill insurance and there's time requirements on those codes that you can bill.
Talk to us about that, because that's not something, I don't take insurance. So add in this other piece.
With insurance, I mean, there's a lot that we could get into with it that I'm not going to because it would take forever. But when you attend a session and your therapist is billing your insurance, you'll have your copay or a certain amount towards your deductible to pay. But if you don't come, we can't bill for that session. That would be fraud to bill for a session that didn't happen. And so then if you late cancel or you don't show up for your appointment, then that responsibility falls to you as the client. I can't bill that to insurance.
So you can't bill cancellations to insurance. You actually bill that as cash pay to the client.
Yeah. Because you can't bill insurance for a service that didn't happen or that wasn't provided.
I see.
So I have that, I try to make that super clear in all of my policy paperwork, and I hope that that's understood. But yeah, I think
I would assume that some clients always seem caught off guard by that.
Yes, there are definitely some clients who are surprised by that. And I totally understand. People are like, hey, I can't afford therapy. I'm using my insurance because I have it, and that's great. Let's make it accessible, and I'm happy to do that. But
it's just hard when you make that as clear as you can in that first session and they sign the paperwork agreeing to it.
Yeah.
And then, months go by and they forget about it, and you have to remind them.
Yeah.
And you feel like the bad guy. And that happens to me too. Like, one of the best things I feel like clients can do for us therapists when they have to cancel late or they don't cancel within the time period of the policy that they've signed is just to add in, like, go ahead and charge me.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I do with my nail lady, right? I know that I'm going to owe her, even though I woke up sick, right? Charge me. Like, I know I signed up for this. I know that I gave you the thumbs up. Like, take my money. It's so much easier for us because we don't want to have to be the only one holding those boundaries when our clients sign those and agreed to them.
I do always appreciate when that's thrown in there, for sure. And I think, I can always get on a soapbox about this and the frustration when people push back on charging for a no-show or a late cancel, because I don't know how often, this is an assumption on my part, but I just don't imagine people are really pushing back when their hairstylist charges a fee. Or a nail appointment, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of other professions and industries that have a similar policy, that doctors' offices and dentists, like, they all have cancellation fees too that I don't know, maybe they do get pushback, but I feel like that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
And it feels like therapists sometimes get more pushback because we're supposed to be
Yeah.
very
And I've,
caring and compassionate, and we are,
mhm.
but we also have to have some boundaries for our own schedule and our own
Yeah.
finances.
I've considered this, and I've wondered if it's because of the time. Like it's a whole hour of
Mhm.
time that doesn't get utilized. Whereas maybe for some of these other professions, it's a little bit different, depending on what it is, obviously. But yeah,
Sure.
I totally agree with you that there does seem to be some sort of double standard sometimes with other professions who also have cancellation fees.
Yeah.
So,
I want to circle back for just a second and make the point that when you'd said, right, like if you have a cancellation, you can't put a new client in there. I don't know if people know how most, at least the therapists that I know, generally have standing appointments for their clients. And I know for me, that's in working with trauma, that's me attempting to create some consistency and
right.
predictability for my clients, and that you have a standing either weekly or biweekly appointment. And you're absolutely right. We can't just like throw a brand new client in there. And so if we don't have someone who's had a reschedule or reaching out, then it is just an empty spot. And that can feel kind of stressful.
For therapists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, for the
Well, I
therapist, it can feel
remember
really stressful for
one
us.
week, I think I had 7 cancellations.
Oh,
And I think there was only one of those that I could actually charge a cancellation fee.
my
So
gosh,
I literally lost an entire day's worth of work that week.
that's tough.
And it was like a punch in the gut,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird. It's the paradigm around what therapists are offering, which is this emotionally intimate relationship,
Yeah.
and I think I can understand sort of like the weird idea that I'm paying this person to be this person for me, but it is our livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Which creates a weird dynamic of an emotionally intimate relationship and also a business relationship too.
yeah.
Yeah. It can be
Yeah.
really weird. So
Anyway,
just
some things to keep in
be
mind.
aware of that. You can always ask about a cancellation policy when you're looking for a new therapist, but try to be
Yeah.
understanding about like if they have that boundary for themselves, there's generally a reason. We're not just like money grabbing. We're also trying to
Right.
like make a living.
Try to, even model healthy boundaries.
Yeah, for sure. We could probably do a whole episode on that, but we should
Oh,
probably move
I'm
on.
sure we will at some point.
Number 4.
Wishing we could be friends.
Sometimes we really
Ugh,
wish we could be friends with our
yeah.
clients. Yeah.
There's a few. There's one that I just adore, and she's not really a client anymore, but I have literally, this is so sad, literally Googled it. I'm like, how can I do this? How can I be friends with this person? And every time it's like, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's really come back that I don't think it really, we talked a whole lot about this kind of view of it, is that the research that they've done on this is that when that boundary has been crossed, there's always been regret later from one or
From
both
one, yeah.
partners or friends, right? The client and the
Interesting.
therapist, that it just gets weird.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. So I'm like, okay, I just gotta not do that.
It can get weird. And it's interesting to think too, like we're basing this decision of like, I want to be friends with you off of an hour of being together. Now, truly it is generally a very emotionally intimate hour, but it's only an hour. And who knows if we would actually genuinely get along in the real world.
That's a really good point.
Mm.
I think that we think we're so invested. We see these people, but I said the other day to somebody, I'm like, within a year, if you're coming weekly, probably, I mean, there's 52 weeks in a year, right? But surely there's some missed appointments, right?
Yeah.
Like that's 52 hours total
Yeah.
that I've ever met with you.
Yeah.
Right. That's like barely a work week.
Yes.
More than a work week.
And though like we show up, we have a similar style and we show up as close to just like ourselves as possible in session, there's still a professional boundary there that they don't really know us that well, right? Like they don't know our core. They know our
we like
professional
them,
stuff.
but do they like us?
That's such a weird. I've never actually thought of it that way until this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a good point. Maybe they
So
wouldn't like
funny.
us.
Yeah. But I mean, that can also really get into like ethical issues in dual relationships. And I think we have plans to talk about that in another episode as well.
Yes. And how important it is especially for us therapists, to make sure that we don't cross those boundaries. It's our job as a therapist to not cross those dual relationship boundaries.
Yeah,
We will.
absolutely.
We have a whole soapbox to step onto, don't we?
We do. We have a lot to say about that.
We will get on that soapbox another time.
Yes. All right.
Number 5, you're allowed to tell us if something isn't working. We can take it.
We can take it. We promise. This is coming from our perspective. I wonder if every therapist feels this way.
No.
But I truly think a therapist who really is client-centered and wanting to offer the best therapy for their clients would probably feel this way.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't think I'm very good at being proactive about asking for feedback. Usually I'll kind of say that sometimes in the first session, or it's really common for therapists to ask, if you've been to therapy, what is it that you liked, what it is that you didn't like, which I think is really helpful. But I'm probably not as proactive throughout therapy of asking that question. But I do get feedback. Sometimes it's very upset feedback, which is really great. I feel like the times that I've had clients that have been really upset with me in session and they've told me as much, that session has turned around and they got something really great from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a long time to get comfortable with getting that kind of feedback, but it really does make a huge difference in the therapeutic relationship. And especially as I've shifted into being more of a relational approach to therapy, I am checking in on that more than I ever have before.
Have I rubbed off on you a little bit?
Totally. You totally have. And it makes for way better therapy.
That's good.
It's very cool.
I love it. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, as a therapist, we are having a relational experience with this person, right?
Yes.
This client that got mad at me one time, he was really upset that I can't even remember exactly what it was about. But what had happened was that when I took that feedback, the part that was so impactful was that he had never really experienced being able to give feedback and getting something beneficial from it, getting somebody to actually listen and then validate. And then the benefit, the outcome was there was a shift in the session and he got what he needed. And that was so, from what I understood from him, was a really healing experience.
Yeah, that corrective experience. And for a therapist to model attunement like that, it's so healing.
So to the point of this is it's actually not just wanted, but it's needed in sessions for you to let us know what's not working, for you to give us that feedback, which I think can be intimidating to give feedback to a therapist.
Totally.
So I think I can understand that it might be hard, but it is
for sure
super wanted.
I've been in that situation. Even as I've been a therapist, when I've gone in as a client, I have a hard time saying this isn't working great for me.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. So I can totally see that perspective, which is another reason that I try as the therapist to check in. I kind of take that on as a responsibility to, I don't do it necessarily consistently or regularly. But I try to be mindful of it and feel like if something, I guess there's some benefit of being a chronic people pleaser is that I'm always trying to see am I doing a good enough job for you here?
I mean, I do have to say, after I've done an EMDR session, the next session I'll be like, how was that for you? What did you take from it?
Yeah.
And I guess that does kind of give me an idea, at least with that, how they're feeling about it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. I think it's important. You get out of therapy what you put into it. And if something isn't working, part of what you put into it is advocating for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if your therapist doesn't respond well to that, that's shitty. And I'm so sorry.
Probably time to move on.
Yeah, probably
that's what I
said. To look for somebody different who will be more open to feedback.
Yeah. I've had a lot of friends and stuff, and they'll complain to me sometimes about their therapist. I'm like, go talk to them about it. Sometimes that's hard, but that's my go-to is just first give them the feedback.
Yeah.
And let them know it's not working. And if they don't take it, it's a really good indication to move on and find somebody new. Just like any relationship.
Any relationship, giving them an opportunity to show up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I wanted to share this example of even what further in what we mean by this, that not everybody visualizes pictures in their head, which is something I didn't know. So what this means, like you could probably go Google this. I did. They have like phases, right? Where, if I ask you to picture an apple, do you picture like a full apple sitting on a table with the color and the shine on it, right? Or do you picture like an outline, like a black outline, a silhouette of an apple? Or can you even visualize that at all? I've had one client that like I do a lot of visualization, and I had one client that was just like, I can't see that. Whatever it is that you're describing. And then we talked about it, and I was a little surprised because I visualize things. I had no idea that that's something that other people struggle with. But if I'm asking you to visualize something and you can't picture that in your head, like this isn't going to work for you. Right. So to get that feedback.
Yeah. And
so let me know it's not working.
I need to know that so we can shift into some different verbiage or different like approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always been like a good example to me of like why I need to be thoughtful and making sure that this is working for people.
Yeah.
Is there progress? And then just hoping they'll give me feedback.
Yeah. And we have to just trust that our clients are giving us honest feedback.
Yeah.
Because we can't really read your mind, even though sometimes it feels like we can.
I always talk about having a crystal ball sometimes. But that's just because we know the patterns.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
We're looking at themes and patterns.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does get a little bit. Sometimes clients are like, how did you do that? Like, it's just I've been doing this for a minute. Like,
I think it's hilarious. I laugh so hard to myself.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
It is weird to be on the other side of that in like my own therapy and be like, how did you do that? How did you know what I was thinking? It is kind of a weird experience.
Because we're obviously not the experts in our own lives sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. Okay, number 6. We don't actually expect you to be better every week. Progress is not a straight line.
I tell people you've got to be a tortoise, not a hare.
Yeah.
It's the people that I see try to move so quickly. They say things like, okay, I just got to get better at. I've just got to do.
I've just got to fix.
Yeah.
X, Y, Z.
Those things, I'm like, you're moving too fast.
Yeah.
Right. Progress, what I think is so interesting and beautiful is like, people think you have to go to hell and back, I feel like, to process trauma. And my personal experience and experience as a professional is that's just not the case. If you take it as slow as your body needs, you will eventually get to the place that you want to go, and you'll step back and be like, wait a second.
Yes.
How did I get here?
I'm having an epiphany right now, Kayla. Oh my gosh. I need this moment for a second.
Let's take it. See, look, and we'll model the slow tortoise pace right here.
No, it's like that concept has been forming for me in the last couple of years. And I used to let people know like trauma work is hard, right? Like it's not lovey-dovey, and I try not to scare people from it. And I still think that's true, right? It is hard work. But I think I used to have the opinion that like it had to be like
dig in,
really rough and like horrible. And that's just the modalities and things that I've learned lately. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be hell and back.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and part of that is because the slow process means that we're helping you sort of digest at the pace that you're actually capable of.
Yes.
And if we're digesting too much too soon, that's when a lot of people won't come back to therapy.
So true.
They're like, this is too intense. It is too painful. It's too hard. This is the whole reason why I disassociate from my feelings anyway. Yeah. Right. So we're really trying to help people slow down and take in what they're capable of at the pace that they need.
Yes. I feel like I discuss a lot with my clients, again, because of a lot of complex trauma. Many of them don't really have a good relationship with their bodies. They don't have a relationship with the idea of being safe or quote unquote positive emotions. And they get really frustrated with themselves when they're like, oh, I had this moment of feeling safe and I can't hold on to it, or that's scary, right? And I explain to a lot of my clients that, like, yes, that's progress and it has to be taken slowly, because even positive change, even good change can be really destabilizing and really uncomfortable.
Right. Well, because if our brain is wired in the way that the safe things are actually unsafe and the unsafe things are safe, you've got to... You're rewiring things.
Right. It's not so much about objective safe and unsafe. It's subjective experience of what's familiar, what's homeostasis. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So sustainable change is always going to be slow and over time. If you go too fast, it generally doesn't last.
When we're going too fast, it's still sort of like this fix-it approach.
Yeah.
It's I want to get out of this feeling rather than I'm going to stay in it and as long as I can until I need a break.
Yeah. I also think a lot of people think that the progress in therapy or being better means that they don't have hard times or they don't have difficult feelings or they just are like, everything's great all the time now, right? And maybe that sounds dramatic and silly, but I really do think that people kind of have that in their mind. And sometimes it's helpful to reframe for them that like progress is actually like, how do you tolerate the emotions? How do you manage them?
Yeah.
Can you get deeper into your own experience and understand, be curious, like, why is this coming up for me? And using your emotions as information and data rather than the emotions sort of run your life.
The enemy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, I'm like, this sounds like it's a really tough emotion for you to feel. I want you to go home and make it your best friend. I want you to become so familiar with like inadequacy, loneliness, powerlessness, that when it comes up, you don't feel like you have to run from it, that you can welcome it in like an old friend and sit
Why
with
are
it.
you making me cry and have chills right now? What's happening? I wish you could be my therapist. Holy cow. That's a really cool way to phrase that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, our body is made to produce these emotions. Yeah. They're here to be with us and for us to be there with them, not to get rid of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And for my left brain people, I do this, like emotions are the same as like dopamine, the same as adrenaline, right? Like they're a biological experience in your body. Yes. Look at it as it's just the process our body goes through and what information is it trying to give, right? Part. Looking at it as data and a neurobiological process.
Because the whole point of that is to observe it.
Yes.
Right? We're observing the information.
Yeah.
And I think that shift from like being in it to observing is probably the most difficult part of therapy.
Yes.
And growth and awareness. Once you actually can start to observe those things, it doesn't mean that you have to continuously observe and sit with the emotion. Like eventually you'll get better at it and you can observe it longer. Yeah. But that shift is like the biggest.
It's really difficult.
Because you're changing things from your subconscious to your conscious awareness. And it's such a big jump.
But I think it's that skill that I'm most excited to see my clients start to get. Even when they're like, nothing's changing and everything's horrible. And I'm like, yeah, but look at how you're responding to this now compared to how you were 3 or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Or a year ago.
Yeah.
That like you're handling this and processing and digesting these emotions and these experiences so much better.
And that's the point.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like the people think that it's just like, I want it to be different. I want it to change. And it's not really about like, because there's a lot of things we can't change. We don't have control over.
Yeah.
And so it turns back on us to really be able to sit with what's happening rather than changing what's happening.
We're changing the way that we relate to our experiences rather than changing our experiences. Yeah.
I like the way you said that.
We could talk about this all day.
I know.
We probably should keep moving.
We'll keep moving and come back to that another time.
Oh, you had a point in here though that we kind of expect you to like make mistakes. We expect some amount of failure if we want to use that word, right?
I think it just goes to your point that you already said. It's that it's new information. Failure, like I tell people, like with my couples that I work with, like you're going to fight again. Like this will happen again. Just go into that with more intention of what you're going to learn. I tell this to my clients too, who are like going to Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, your family's triggering. You know that there's stuff that happens there. So just know that as you're going into it, sit there and watch how mom and dad interact with each other. How do your siblings interact together? Like go in there knowing that you're going to observe and take out information.
Yeah.
Because the way that your family is, your parents are right now, probably is the way that it was with you growing up.
Yeah.
Unless mom and dad or siblings have been to therapy, if something, you would know. I have clients that say, oh yeah, they're way different than they were growing up.
Yeah.
If you're not saying that, it's probably the same.
Mm-hmm.
So the failure or the dysregulation, all the bad stuff that happens, quote unquote bad stuff, is just information. Yeah. So allowing yourself to fail is actually needed in this process.
Totally.
You can't get better without more of the failure.
Yeah. I love
Which
that.
is why we don't expect you to get better immediately. actually
Yes.
need
Fighting
to
all
not
that.
yet.
Yeah. Fighting all that perfectionism of like, okay, I'm going to go and use this new skill I learned, right? Or like learn how to sit with my emotions. I'm going to do it perfectly every single time. And I'm going to be so perfectly aware of everything I feel. And it's like, well, slow down. No, we're just practicing. When you remember to notice
that
and observe.
Well, even then, right? Like notice and observe you're trying to be perfect right now.
Yeah, there's so many layers. Anyway, okay.
Okay, moving on. Number 7, you can bring notes.
I love this one.
Yeah. You don't have to remember everything.
Yeah. I love this. It actually warms my heart when I have clients come in with their journal or they're like, hold on, I made notes. I got to get my phone out and they're pulling up stuff. I'm like, that to me indicates, it's not the only indicator, but it's an indication that like you are really invested in this process and invested in yourself. And that gets me really excited as the therapist to be like, oh yeah. We're doing this together. I'm not trying to like pull you along. Sometimes it feels like that, which is, okay, that's where people are, but it's so fun. And it lights me up so much as a therapist to have someone who comes in and is like, I'm ready to do this. I'm going to journal. I'm taking notes. I'm writing down the things that I'm having like epiphanies on. It's so fun. I get so excited about it.
The ones that I really love is the ones that don't remember things because they'll come in and be like, oh, so what happened over the last week? What did you take from our last session? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, great. Like I have one that I've really struggled with and they have just started recently taking notes in the last few sessions. And it has brought so much relief to me that they're bringing it in and telling me these things because it's something to work off of. Yeah. So it's really helpful.
It's very helpful.
For both us and our clients.
Totally. Yeah. And I think too, in my own experience in therapy as a client, when I have a really great session, I don't always have time right after that session to like journal or take notes because I actually have my therapy right in the middle of my workday. It's really helpful for me to then metabolize, what the session was, and it helps cement in what I'm learning and what I'm focusing on. I can't even remember my point now. Jeez.
I lost it too. We were talking about notes.
I know. I just can't remember why I was making this.
Here's a reminder that Ashley and I both have ADHD. We both just had an ADHD moment. You were talking, I blanked out. I totally zoned out.
It's okay. It's okay. My point is that it's really helpful for me as a client in my own healing to make sure I'm taking time to check in with myself and write down the things that I want to make sure I remember. It's helpful to show up to therapy and not be like, okay, I'm big on like maximizing my time, and it's sometimes good and it sometimes isn't. But I'm like, when I'm showing up to therapy, I want to use every minute of my time, and I don't want to spend my time being like, what was it last week? We talked last time. I don't remember.
The minutes. There's the minutes that just feel like gold nugget minutes, right? Like you want to suck that dry.
Yeah. So it's totally okay to take notes and even encouraged. It could potentially even improve your experience in therapy.
Yeah. I do have some clients that I have talked to them about their note taking.
Yeah.
Because I do find that sometimes it's an emotional exit.
Totally.
So that's something to just take note of.
Totally.
That if we are taking a lot of notes, what's going on?
Yeah, I have seen that.
I had another therapist tell me one time that sometimes in talk therapy, what can happen is that we have these, light bulb moments, and it's almost sort of like this dopamine hit, right? But lasting change, again, happens in really kind of our bodies and the emotional feeling experience rather than the thinking experience.
Yes.
So I think as therapists, we have to kind of be mindful of always being in that talk therapy, and because it feels good. I'll tell you what, when my clients, and in particular, I have a couple of certain clients that like are just on the edge of their seat writing notes. It feels so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're writing this down. What did I just say?
Makes me feel so good. The
right?
worst is when they're writing it down, like, wait, can you say that again? And I'm like,
oh no.
Nope, definitely can't.
Said something profound.
I made it up as it was coming out of my mouth, and there's no way I'm tracking what that was.
So it feels good because it feels like I think anybody like would feel that way if somebody was really taking in what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I have to make sure that we're doing work that is beneficial.
Totally.
So
I've shifted lately when people have those epiphanies to asking like, what is that? what is that like for you to have that realization? What are you noticing happening
Mm,
emotionally or physically? And
that's,
slowing the process down. And if they write it down, fine, but I want to
yeah.
pause and have them like really sink into like, what is the experience in your body like to have that
I
awareness?
I love that. That's gonna totally change the way that I work with some of these clients.
It's just like these little ways that of like resourcing is kind of the term that
Yeah.
I use of like, you have a positive shift. You're having I say positive, right? But you're having a shift in how you're thinking about this. And I want to have these
The
micro
space.
moments of resourcing that it's slowly titrating your body to become familiar with what that feels like
Yeah.
and getting that to become over time the homeostasis instead of
Right.
the distressing.
And these are the little moments that I think as therapists that we're always watching for
Yeah.
when you notice somebody's body light up emotionally. It's like,
Yes.
oop, we're gonna stop there. We're gonna sort of exploit this moment,
Yeah.
heighten that emotion, right? Because
Yeah.
that's part of rewiring the brain and
Yeah.
noticing that this feels good in connection with this, or it feels
Hmm.
bad in connection with this, right?
Hmm.
And becoming more attuned to your body.
Yes. We're always watching those body cues.
We sometimes miss them.
Of course we do.
But what you're saying really kind of shifts that for me a little bit. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
note of that moment when it happens.
Yeah. I've been real big on resourcing a lot more and focusing and enhancing the positive shifts a lot more than like honing in on like the trauma.
Right.
Like let's
Well, what I'm hearing you say even in that is that there's this resource, this thing that works for this person.
yeah.
How can we utilize that?
Yeah.
And even when I point it out, right, like I'm trying to gather information, but I don't want to necessarily have my clients villainize the fact that they like take notes or they
Yeah.
do certain things, but rather recognizing what it's doing for them,
Yeah.
plus, you know, using that as a resource or even like a just a what I call like a red flag of a place for you to tap into your experiences
Yeah.
if you're not being able to observe it like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Note taking, something emotional happens for you when you take notes. Let's
Hmm.
use that as a place to tap into your
Yeah. Let's
experience.
have that as a place to start and really combine the top down with the bottom up and
Yeah.
like, okay, what do you logically, what's happening cognitively for you, and let's pair that with the emotional experience and
Yeah.
have those be in alignment, because to me that's the goal, is alignment between mind and body and
Right.
having those be working together rather than so disconnected.
Communicating. Yeah. Perfect.
Love it.
Okay, number 8,
Last
crying in
one.
session.
Crying in session.
Tell me about this,
It's
Ashley.
totally okay to cry in session. And again, maybe sounds kind of silly, but I can't tell you how often I have clients start crying and they apologize for it. And obviously they feel safe enough in my office to cry, and that's significant, but it's one of these like little things that's like really chaps my ass about our society that people are
Hmm.
so trained to be sorry for demonstrating emotion that
Yeah.
even in therapy they're saying I'm so sorry, and I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like geez, if you can't cry here,
Where
where the
are
hell are
you
you supposed to
crying?
cry?
I
It's
think it speaks to so much of people's either discomfort in showing it or feeling sort of like this obligation to make sure that their emotions aren't making other people uncomfortable.
yeah. Yeah, and I totally get where they're coming from. And I say this with a lot of compassion and love. I
Yeah.
understand it. And it also is something that just like really irritates me.
Mhm.
Not when my clients do it, but the fact that that's like a thing
Yeah, that
that
it exists.
it exists, that our emotions are so suppressed and looked down on and stigmatized that
Yeah.
like crying when you're talking about something that is very emotional is something that, we're apologizing for.
Yeah.
So, on the same vein, it's also okay to like come in and like verbally dump and
Yeah.
emotionally dump. That's again kind of the purpose of a therapeutic space, is that it's something, it's a unique space for you to say the things and feel the things that don't necessarily feel accessible anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, because we're trying to create that safe space.
Yeah.
I think here's a little insight to therapists, right? Is that obviously love it when our clients cry,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, I'm going to cry today. you know, that's
Yeah.
when I'll go home. my husband will ask, I was like, did you make anybody cry today? I'm like, yeah, I did.
I have mentioned that especially when I have male clients who, men are
They just
generally averse
sometimes,
to like demonstrating
yeah,
emotion. And especially when I have male clients who are like
big and tough.
really, yeah. And I finally get them to crack. I do go home and tell my
I
husband, and
did
he's like,
it.
geez, what is wrong with you? I'm like, no,
Oh,
it's not because I
so
was mean
good.
to him, but it's because like he's finally feeling his feelings,
Yeah,
right?
he's
Like it's,
finally feeling safe, right?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, it always just makes me think about, I know a lot of people have like issues with Brene Brown, but
sure.
story that she tells about the husband that came up to her about, asking about the work she does with men. She's like, I don't work with men. He's like, well, that's convenient. Have you heard this story?
Maybe.
He
I
says,
don't
well,
know.
that's convenient that you haven't worked with men, right? And he like turns and says, do you see those women over there? They would rather me, like fall on my sword than fall off my white horse
Mm.
or something like that. So my point in this story is to say, I think
Is to say that
that,
rabbit holes like this are to be expected on this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
Okay.
there is really something important in my head that I'm trying to
About
convey,
men
right?
crying,
Yeah,
right?
like that there is such a stigma, I think, about what it means for men to be able to share those emotions, and they're working so hard to like not fall off their white horse. And
Yeah,
so, you know, it's just interesting that one of the things that we have to work with as therapists is actually getting men to cry,
yeah,
right? And there are women too. I have met many women too that struggle to allow that as well.
absolutely.
Because sometimes their belief, right, is that they're too much.
Yeah,
They're a burden.
yeah.
So gotta suck that up.
I've had clients too that I think their inability or like lack of crying, and I say inability because I've had some clients who are like, I actually can't cry. Like even when I
Yeah.
feel like I should, I just don't cry. And I've looked at that as like a really big disconnect in their
Yeah.
mind and their body. And actually had a client over years of therapy that she texted me one day and was like, I cried this week. And we were so happy that
Yeah.
she didn't just have this like inability as a human being,
Yeah.
right? There was a barrier for her in
Yeah.
accessing that. So,
Well, that's just kind of this lack of access to sadness,
yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
maybe I can, like, I have some feelings of sadness, but I think people forget or they don't even know. Like, you have to ask this question about how do you actually express this emotion,
Yeah.
right? Let me ask this question. How do you express powerlessness? Just think about that for a minute, right? Like when we think about sadness, we can say, oh, well, people cry, or when people get scared, they scream. But those are very basic things that we do. But we do something always with an emotion.
I'm having a client moment here that I'm like, I don't know the
What is
answer.
it? Yeah. Well, and
That's
it's
so
just something to
interesting.
think about. We always will take, whenever we're feeling something, we will do something with it. What is that thing that you're doing? How are you expressing it?
That's such a cool way to think about that.
Yeah.
We're going to learn so much from each other.
It's going to be fun.
I am so excited about
great.
this. I'm like mind blown right now by at least two things that you have said in the last
Good.
45 minutes.
It's
crazy.
still kind of this relational part, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess that, I mean, relational maybe in a relation with ourselves and getting to know when we feel, what do we do?
Totally. Again, yeah, the being able to observe my patterns, my habits, my internal processes, and becoming an observer of that and detaching. Good.
Okay.
All right,
well,
we did it.
That's it. That's all we're sharing today. We were going to do like a quick sneak peek, but maybe what that means is that we just share what we're going to talk about.
Sure.
We're going to share sort of our thoughts on how to pick out a therapist, how to find a good therapist, an ethical therapist, things to watch out for.
Yeah.
And we want you guys to find a really good therapist that you're
not all
feel weird
therapists are created equally, right?
No,
That's how you'd said it earlier, that just like in any other profession, there are some who are really good at what they do, and there's some who are not as good at what they do, and there's some who are just outright harmful.
Yeah.
Right?
Outright harmful for sure.
Like, I think there's a spectrum there.
And unfortunately, some people don't know that some therapists are outright harmful, and you can get that information.
Yes. There are some ways to find that out. Not foolproof, but there are definitely some things that you can watch for, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So
okay. Thanks for coming, guys.
Hope we'll find you here next time.
Next time. When I said next session, but we really mean next episode.
I don't know. Maybe
next session.
Next session. Come back.
Take your notes. Come back. Be prepared to cry. Leave us a review.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks for listening to No Couch Required. We'd love to keep the conversation going with you. Connect with us on Instagram at No Couch Required Pod and let us know your thoughts. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, send them our way. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and consider leaving us a review. It really helps others find the show. Until next time, take good care of yourself.